Oh ya. Okay, you can start, Ahmad Ridwan, to present the result of your analysis.
Okay.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to see you all. So in this meeting, my group, which is Group 10, would like to present about analysis of textbook based on the Mukundan textbook analysis. But first, let me introduce Group 10 members. The first is me, Wulan Nabila, and then there are Ahmad Ridwan, Anggi Merilia, and Bella Nurmala. Okay, without any further ado, let us begin the presentation. The first presenter is Ridwan. Ridwan, the time is yours.
Next slide, Jar. Identity of the book. Title, Stop Bullying Now, Stand Up and Speak Out. Author, Mahruh Bashir, MED. Editor, Dr. Andes Panji Mangun Sudarmo. Cover designer, Yunika Rotwa Lumbo Toruan. Year of published, 2017. Publisher, Pusat Kurikulum and Perbukuan Balitbang Kemendikbud. Date of the book, 170 pages. Size of book, 25 centimeters. ISBN 978 602 427 1084. This book for senior high school, language English, and price is 15,000 rupiahs. Next slide, Jar. Textbooks analysis based on the Mukundan. The choice of the textbooks will also determine the success or the failure of the students. It means the statement that one of requirements for deciding the consistency of the teaching learning process is textbook availability. According to Sheldon, evaluating textbook is needed for two reasons. The evaluation will help the teacher or program developer in making decisions on selecting the appropriate textbook. Second is evaluations of the merit and demerit of textbooks will familiarize the teacher with with its probable weakness and strengths. The aim of evaluating textbook is to assist teachers in selecting the most suitable textbook for a given language classroom by taking into account its prospective results. When using a textbook, review allows the instructor to discover the flaws and strengths. Finally, post-use or retrospective assessment allows teachers to focus on the content of textbook after it has been used in a specific learning teaching scenario. In Mukundan, he used checklists. A checklist is a tool that aids English language teaching. ELT practitioners in evaluating language teaching materials, such as textbooks. It enables a more sophisticated evaluation of the textbook in relation to a set of generalized criteria. Next chart. Okay, for the next slide will be explained by Anggi Marilia.
Okay, for the next is about cover analysis. The cover of this book is very informative and attractive. It is because the proportional color that used in this textbook and the picture of globe in the cover describe the use of English as a second language, which is universal. And the another picture such as lamps, flower, and hands illustrate the content of the textbook. And also there is a lecture that describe a language as a tool of communication. And the dancing pupil and in beautiful dress represent the culture of the target language. And the picture of someone in climbing the stairs to the cloud means that English is easy to learn from the basic. And there is a sentence, stop bullying now, tell us to not arrogant, beside it also meaningful to motivate students in learning English. Okay, next. And in determining the evaluative criteria, English language teaching or ELT material developer and evaluators need to take a wide range of factors into consideration before they make decision on the materials that they are developed or select before particular context. And in determining the evaluative criteria, there are some factors. The first is the evaluative criteria of checklist should be chosen according to the learning teaching context and the specific needs of the learner and also the teacher. It's explained by Bert and Sheldon. And for the second, most well-established checklists such as Konigsword and Castle or Skisser examine similar dimensions like physical attribute of textbook including aims, layout, methodology, and organization. It means that in this factor, it just focus on the form and also the content of the textbook, like the purpose of the textbook and also the layout that used in the textbook. And for the next is some other criteria that are present in the most checklist include the way language skill, speaking, listening, and also the grammar and the function are present in the textbook depending on the present social culture, and it's explained by Zabawa and Konigsword. And for the other criteria, the background can be encompass a variety of dimensions, including student age, needs, and also the interest. And then finally, the language used in the various texts of the textbook under evaluation should present natural and authentic example of language used in the real world. Okay, for the next explanation will be delivered by my friend, Wulan Nabila Kinanti.
Oh, sorry Bel, ini Bella.
Okay, I'm sorry. I mean Bella Nurmalasari.
Bella.
Bella nggak ada suaranya, Bel.
Di unmute dulu Bella Ulan. Bella ya. Bisa ngeliat Ulan. Bella di unmute dulu Bella. Coba nanti.
Masih nggak ada tuh, Bel.
Ntar dulu, coba bisa yang ini. Bella Nurma ya.
Iya, Miss.
Ini enggak Bella. Sudah di unmute itu sama Miss-nya? Sudah di-unmute? Bella? Coba di kolom chat, kenapa kamu nggak bisa? Kalau nggak kamu keluar dulu, terus masuk lagi. Coba Bella. Mungkin kamu nggak ini ya, yang klik yang audio-audio awalnya itu kali ya. Kalau nggak gini, Ulan dulu. Ulan kan belum ya? Tadi Anggi apa Ulan barusan?
Tadi Anggi, Miss.
Tadi Anggi, berarti Ulan dulu, baru Bella. Bella, coba kamu ini, kamu apa namanya, keluar Zoom, terus klik yang audio itu. Kalau kita pertama ini, dicoba dulu. Sekarang coba Anggi, tadi Anggi ya?
Iya.
Berarti Ulan, sekarang Ulan, coba Ulan.
Oke, Miss. Next slide, user. Okay, a tentative checklist for textbook evaluation. In teaching and learning process, the term textbook refers to a set of an instructional material of English taught as subject matter at school. Generally, textbook is a book contains some material on certain subject to learn by the students. It is used as a main component to deliver the material framework designed in the curriculum. They may deliver the foundation for the content of the lessons, the balance of the skill taught, and the types of language practice the students take part in. Mukundan proposed the model to examine the material evaluation. They derive into two stages, namely general attribute and learning teaching content. The criteria these sections were further divided into several subcategories following the aforementioned classification. In order to avoid misinterpretation of these features, the developers added one or more descriptors to each subcategory. The criteria of general attribute is based on the curriculum or syllabus, the methodology used during the teaching learning process, the suitability to the learners, the physical appearance, and the teacher guide or supplementary materials. In other hand, the teaching learning content the learning teaching content is a treatment and presentation of the skills, the task, sequencing and grading of the materials, and relationship between text and exercise. Okay, next.
Halo.
Halo. Next.
Udah ada suara belum aku?
Udah.
Bel.
Ke slide sebelumnya, Zar.
Okay. Mukundan offer a comprehensive checklist of textbook evaluation obtained from a focus group study. They outline two main parts of textbook, including general attributes and teaching learning content. Okay, general attributes serve as the first basic of the textbook evaluation, comprised of 5 aspects. They include the book in relation to the curriculum, which mean the relation between textbook and the syllabus, methodology, suitability to the learner's physical and utilitarian attributes, and efficient outlay of supplementary material, and then learning teaching content. On the other hand, deals with the content of textbook. This aspect covers 9 major areas: general, listening, speaking, reading, writing, grammar, pronunciation, and exercise. The general aspect of the textbook contains important aspects of the test and language used in the book. The 4 skills should include listening, speaking, reading, and writing. All aspects should be graded meaningful, interesting, and based on the learner's need. The grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation aspects should also be interesting and easy to follow. In terms of exercise, they should have clear interaction. Okay.
Next, Jar. Anggi.
Okay, guys, here is the example of the checklist, the textbook by Mukundan. And there are some points in this checklist. The first is poor, adequate, good, and excellent. And also the totally label, liking. There are mandatory, optional, and not applicable. Okay, next. Okay, here we talk about the qualitas of the textbook. Is the outside cover is informative and attractive. The point is adequate and it's mandatory because the picture of globe in the cover describe the breadth of language use. It means that the use of language, especially English, is very universal. And is the font size and the type used in the textbook are appropriate? Point is good and it's mandatory. It's because this book uses the Calibri type and 11 size. It is quite adequate for students in senior high school and related with the size of the textbook itself. Is the paper used in the textbook are appropriate? The point is adequate and is optional because this book uses AVS. In our opinion, it is not a good type of paper, but it is appropriate for the students in senior high school. Printing use is good. Yes, it's good and it's mandatory because the printing is a Gramedia. It's enough good in Indonesia. Okay, next. Is the title and subheading titles are written clearly and appropriately? Yes, it's adequate and optional because the title and subheading unsuitable, which is make the reader confused, and its size is appropriate. Yes, it's adequate and optional because this book is appropriate for the senior high school. Is the textbook has sufficient number of or picture to make the situation more lifelike? Yes, this book is include the picture like I give you in this slide. Point is good and it's mandatory. And the last, the textbook has a complete and detailed table of content. Yes, this book is include table of content. Point is good and it's mandatory. Okay, back to the next presenter.
The textbook fulfills the general objectives of teaching English language at the specific educational institute. It's just mandatory and good. Based on the material of textbooks, the purpose of this book is to increase and improve students' comprehensions and ability to use English. This book concludes some language skills. There are skills which included in the books are reading, writing, listening, and speaking, or all learning teaching content. So this textbook fulfills the objectives that students have learned. They contains on page 99, 86, and 61, and the objectives are related to the learner's needs and interests. It's good mandatory. The objectives are related to the what learner needs because of reading, writing, listening, and speaking are important skills that students have to get, and this book contains those skills. The objectives are specified explicitly in the textbook. Yes, because of the writer of this book wrote that this book focused on increasing student skills and fictions or non-fictions, such as writing a letter, song, poetry, report, exposition text, ask and give opinion. It's excellent and mandatory. The objectives are measurable. It's good and mandatory, yes, because of the objective focus the important skills, which are these skills rise the creativity and students active. Next slide, Jar. The objectives are relevant to the students' local culture. The objectives are relevant to the students' local culture because of the students need to drill their own skills. Exactly the four main skills in the other sides, the students have to do critical thinking and improve their creativity. It's good and mandatory. Next, Zara. The objectives make a balance between the four main skills: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Uh, the objectives make a balance between the four main skills. In our opinion, the objectives of the textbook of the book make balance among the main skills because there are subtitles in every chapters, such as active conversations, reading, writing, and connections. It's good and mandatory. Next, Jar. The objectives help teacher to choose the right aids and the best method of teaching. It's no because of the introductions of the textbook of the book. Writer wrote this book focus on the increasing student skills in fiction or non-fiction, such as writing a letter, song, poetry, report, exposition text, and as give opinion. It may be make the teachers become confused to choose what is the best way to teach the students. It's adequate and it's optional. Next, Jar. The content underlines the importance of knowledge for students. The content doesn't underline the important knowledge, but the content give a pointer how should to do. It's adequate and not applicable. The textbooks raises students' interest and further English language study. The textbook uses the word that medium to understood by students or the readers. It makes the students interest when they know what the text means. It depends on the student's motivation. It's good and optional. The textbook is supported efficiently by audio materials. The textbooks only provided the lyric of the songs. It may be suggestions for the teachers to search it on the internet, such as YouTube, Spotify, or jokes. It's adequate and optional. Cassettes that accompany the books are available. This book doesn't provide a cassette that's accompanying the books. It depends on the writer and lesson because of it can be used internet site. It's adequate and optional. Next, sir. For the next explanation will be explained by my friends.
Wulan.
Next slide, Jar. Ya bener ya. Next, Jar.
Hello.
Okay. The methods used are student-centered. Yes, because this book uses curriculum 13. In curriculum 13, the students have more active and more student-centered. So it's good and mandatory.
How about Bella? Bella sudah belum? Bella sudah
Tadi
bisa belum?
udah bisa, Miss.
Sudah presentasi?
Sudah
Miss.
tadi bagian, Miss.
Oh ya. Silahkan dilanjutkan ulang ya sekarang ya.
Iya, Miss.
Karena Missnya nggak kelihatan yang siswa yang ngomong ini nggak kelihatan nanti. Oke.
Activities used allow various class activities. Yes, because this book contains 4 main skills in language, so it must be the various activities depends on what instructions of the lessons. So it's good and mandatory. Next. Next. Bella ya. Bella.
Yeah. Okay. The next is the activities can be exploited fully to acquire different language skill. The answer is yes, because this textbook provides some lesson in different language skills. And then the next slide, Zar. The activities enable the learners to use English outside the classroom situation. The answer is no, because there is no message or instruction in this book that students have to use English as a communication. Next, Jar. And then the subject and content of the textbook is interesting. The answer is yes, mandatory and good, because this textbook has fun element. So the textbook is interesting for the student. And then the topic encourages students to express their own view. The answer is yes, mandatory and good, because this book encourages students to convey their idea. And the last is tests have achievable goals and take into consideration learners' capabilities. And the answer is yes, mandatory and good, because in every lesson there is a related exercise on the lesson that have learned.
Bella, suaranya nggak ada Bella. Bella lagi presentasi atau apa?
Iya, presentasi. Tadi nggak kedengaran sama sekali, Miss ya?
Tadi di mute sama kamu barusan. Coba Bella videonya dimatiin, siapa tahu ini video kamu mati, siapa tahu suaranya bagus. Video
Oke,
dimatiin, tapi suara aja maksudnya. Coba. Oh masih
Oke,
sama
coba
ya
kembali lagi
suaranya.
ke Halo.
Iya, tapi masih sama suara kamu masih jelek. Yang lain di mute ya, yang lain ya. Apa yang ada yang ini? Suara dari Bella atau suara? Coba Bella, punya kamu mute dulu. Berisik ini dari. Bella, berarti bukan punya kamu. Ini siapa yang nggak di-unmute ya?
Punya Dimas, Mi. Punya Dimas.
Ya, coba Dimas, di-unmute punya kamu, Dimas. Oh iya, Bella, udah punya kamu bagus ternyata. Ayo, mulai lagi.
Ya udah. Coba
Udah jelas. Ayo, dilanjut lagi.
Oke, tadi nyampe. Oke, di sini. The subject and content of the textbook is interesting, and the answer is yes, good and mandatory because the textbook has fun elements. So this book is interesting for the students. And then the topic encourages students to express their own view. The answer is yes, mandatory and good because this book encourages students to convey their ideas. And the last is tests have achievable goals and take into consideration learners' capabilities. And the answer is yes, it's good and mandatory because in every lesson there is a relative exercise depends on the lesson that have they learn.
Anggi,
Okay, that's all our presentation. Jadi ini next gimana Miss? Langsung tanya jawab atau?
Langsung ke grupnya ini, Amanda.
Oh, langsung ke Amanda.
Oh
Oke.
ya, Amanda.
Layarnya udah kelihatan belum?
Sudah.
Sudah.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from group 8. We want to present about the gender analysis in English textbook. And this group are include 2 persons, that is Amanda Putri Salsabila and Ika Widianti. So Amanda Putri Salsabila is the first speaker and the moderator, and the Ika Widianti is the second speaker. Okay, the move to the next is books identity. The title is Pathway to English for SMA or FA grade 10, kelompok wajib. The author is T.H.M. Sudarwati and Audia Grace. The editor is Yuniar Widyastuti and Dwi Wahyu Priyanto. Cover designer is Ahmad Taufik. Year of published is 2016 and publisher is Erlangga. The thick of book is 216 pages. The size of book is 17.6 by 25 centimeter. The ISBN is 978-602-2989226. This book for high school and the language is English. And the next is analysis the cover. The cover is good in physical qualities like paper quality, binding, and printing. The cover of the textbook contains interesting picture, and it is an eye-catching colorful cover with interesting picture because it is good for the first impression. The book cover also show the grade for the students, so students can more easily understand if this book is for 10th grade in high school. This book also already used revised curriculum 2013 from Ministry of Education and Culture. The book price is relatively expensive for students because it is cost 75,000 rupiah for second-hand book. And for the book color is light purple, has a feminine, graceful, elegant color that has long been associated with refined, wealthy women. While the color purple is represent royalty, lavender represent beauty and femininity. Okay, the first we move to the content. The first is number of female and male character. The data came from the textual context, that is noun and pronoun in writing text. So as you can see in the PowerPoint, there are the table that show the percentage of the number and the number of female and male character. In Unit 6, there are 10 number of female character, 13 number of male character, 21 number of both character, and 38 of unidentified number of the character. In Unit 7, there are 107 number of female character and 58 number of male characters, 21 both character, and 117 number of unidentified character. Unit 8, there are 8 number of female character and shows about 9.30% of female character. And in Unit 8, there are 71 number of male character and 5 number of both character and 2 unidentified character. In Unit 9, there are 169 female character and the male it is 253 number of the male character and 23 of the both character and 6 unidentified character. And move to the last unit, it's 4. It's 10. There are shows 4 number of female character and 7 number of male character, 0 for both character and unidentified is also both. Okay, next move to the freshness. The freshness data are depend on the character, female and male character. In freshness, the data came from the picture and the text. For text only obtained through conversation as the character which speaks first in a dialogue. And the analysis of pictorial or picture, also same as the text that came first or show first. In this textbook, doesn't has a lot of conversation, but also has a lot of picture. In Unit 6, there are show no conversation, but with 9 picture. In Unit 7, there are 7 conversation. The 3 is the female freshness that show first in the dialogue, that start the dialogue at the first, and 4 for female character, female freshness, for male freshness, sorry, and 44 pictures. Unit 8, there are no conversation and with 25 picture. Unit 9, there are 1 conversation with 1 female freshness and 18 pictures. In Unit 10, there are no conversation but with 22 pictures. As you can see in this table, we already divided the female and male freshness and also both for unidentified. In Unit 6, there are 2 number of freshness and 1 number of male freshness and 3 number for unidentified. In the Unit 7, there are 22 number of female freshness and 17 number of male freshness and 0 for the both and 12 for number of unidentified freshness. And the Unit 8, there are 1 number of female freshness and 12 of number male first names, and 0 for the both foreigners, and 12 number of unidentified first names. And for unit 9, there are 1 number of female first names and 3 number of male first names, with 3 both first names and 12 number of unidentified first names. And the last is unit 10. There are 6 number of female first names and 7 number of male first names, with also the 4 number of both first names, or 5 for unidentified first names. Okay, the next is occupation. Occupation classification of occupation shows how male and female character are represented in the field of the employment. As you can see in this PowerPoint, there are 5 unit that shows about the occupation. In the female, there are shows 1 number of female occupation and 5 number of male occupation. And the unit 7, there are show 4 number of female occupation and 11 number for male occupation. And for the unit 8, there are 0. And for teacher number male occupation. And in unit 9, there are also 0. But shows in male occupation that has 8 number of occupation, and the last is 10. Unit 10, there are show 6 number female occupation with 0 male occupation. Okay, the next is presenter from Ike Widianti.
Okay, the next is noun category. Noun, the characteristics of both the female and male characters. Female and male noun is taken from pictures and sentences, also conversation. In the table, we can see in the unit 6, in this analysis, we found that noun in the unit 6 has dominated by male gender, with the number of male noun is 6 and the number of female is 6 and the number of male is 7. And the next is in the unit 7 has dominated by balance data, both female and male, with the number of male and female is 6. And the unit of 8, the number of male is 32. In the unit of 8 is dominated by male gender, and then in the unit yeah in the unit 9 is dominated by male too. Okay, next. Okay, the next is about masculine generic construction. Masculine generic construction presents the occurrences of terms that represent such position or occupation with suffixes man. Text data is the only source of this category because the text data is the only source directly mentioned by the author. The result shows that there is no masculine generic construction in all units. Next. Okay, the next is about adjective category. Adjective category shows adjective incidents that appear in the representation of female and male characters. This category takes textual data as the main source, as adjective in pictorial data are complex to evaluate, similar to the category of male general only. In image data, the adjective mainly refers to expression of the face, like sadness, happiness, etc. In adjective category, dominated male gender. We can see in the table, male gender is dominated. Okay, next. And the next is about activities. Activities categories shows what males and females in the textbook normally do. This category can be derived from both textual and pictorial data. In the Unit 6, dominated by male activities, and in the 7, dominated by activities of male with number 30, 33, and then in the unit of 9, it is dominated by male activity, and the unit of 10, it is balanced, both of male and male activities. And next. Okay, the next is about place. The category of place shows the place where the characters male and females often appear in indoor or outdoor textbooks. Both textbook and pictorial data give the results. We can see in the table, in the unit of 6, place of male dominated than female. And the unit of 7 dominated by female place daripada male, the number of male. And then the unit of 8, the number of female is 0, and then the number of male is 18. It is show that the male place is dominated in this unit. And then in the 9th unit is dominated by male place, and in the 10th unit is 0. And next. Okay, the result of this analysis showed that category number of characters dominated by male gender, and then in the first list category dominated by male gender also, and then in the occupation it is dominated by male gender too, but in the noun category both female and male, yeah, dominated by male gender, but in the 7th unit of category of noun is balanced. Okay, in the masculine category, the result is there is no word included as masculine gender construction in all units. And then in adjective, dominated by male gender, almost equal. And then in the activities category shows that male gender is dominated, but in unit of 7 is balanced. And the last is place category, male gender also dominated in this category and almost equal.
Okay, that's all of our presentations. We move to question and answer section. So if you have your question, please reveal and unmute yourself. Thank you.
Okay. Next, continue to question and answer. If you have a question, you can ask your friend now.
May I? May I ask you?
Ya, continue.
Patrio.
Okay. My name is Patrio Yubowo from class 6I, and I want to ask for the first group presenter. Well, previously you mentioned that the objectives are related to the students' needs and interests. So my question is, have you analyzed the appropriateness between the materials in the syllabus and in the textbook?
Next question. This is for the first group ya. Patria for
Yes, Miss. For
Ahmad Ridwan ya.
I'm sorry, can you repeat your question because my network is so bad?
okay,
Or maybe write the question in the chat.
okay, I will write it on the chat box.
Next question. Is there any next question?
May I ask question?
Ya,
Yes,
ini si Irfan ya.
Ya. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Ibrahim Fandi from class I. I want to ask to the first group. Well, earlier, Ridwan said that in the textbooks, the texts have achievable goals and takes into the consideration learners' capabilities. So we know that every student has a different English capabilities. So how do you know, or how do you make sure that the tasks consider with learners' capabilities?
Ivan, can you please write your question in the chat?
Okay.
I ask question.
Okay, what is your name?
My name is Yunika Noroljana
Yeah.
from 6I. So I want to ask for the second group. Has been explained about gender in the textbook. So my question is, what is the effect of students learning if a textbook focuses more on one gender? And is there also an influence when both gender have the same point portion in the textbook?
Okay, Unica, thank you for your question, but please write it down in the chat box to make it clear.
Okay, the first question is from Patrio to the first group. Okay, previously you mentioned that the objectives are related to the learner's needs and interests. My question is, have you analyzed the appropriateness between the material in the syllabus and the material in the textbook? Ini yang Mukundan tadi ya. Has been explained about gender in the textbook. Unica, okay, to Amanda and also Ike ya, Ike group. So my question is, what is the effect on student learning if a textbook focuses more than one gender ya, more on one gender? Is there also an influence when both genders have the same portion in the student's learning? In the textbook, the task consider the learner's capabilities. So how do you know, or how do you make sure that the task consider learner capabilities? Because we know that every student has different capabilities. Irfan, your question is for the first or the second? First ya, sepertinya ya.
The first group, Miss.
Iya, the first ya, sepertinya ya.
Yeah.
I will give a comment ya. While we wait your friend to answer the question from your friends ya. For the first, Miss buka dulu videonya ya, lupa. For the first group is from Ahmad Ridwan, Anggi, and also Bella and Wulan Nabila. Their presentation is about analyzing of textbook based on Pamukundan ya. Okay, and you already make this analysis, and you explain also about the criteria of a good textbook ya, and also about the definition of textbook analysis based on some expert here ya. And your group also try to evaluate the textbook analysis based on Mukundan, ya, because in Mukundan also divided into some question, ya, or some prerequisite of a good textbook. Okay, for your answer, it will be difficult if I have to check one by one, ya, because I don't know the content of the textbook, ya. Karena misalnya juga nggak paham kan konten dari textbooknya apa, is it appropriate or not, related to the answer of your group presentation. For example, is the outside cover is informative and attractive, and your group give the score 2, it is for adequate, and the reason why your group gave the score 2 because the picture of globe in the cover describe the breadth of language used. That's the reason for your group, why your group choose 2 or gave the score 2. The score is not excellent or good. Is the font size and type used in the books are appropriate? Okay, your group gave the score is good because the calligraphy style is quite adequate for student. And also about, this is not very difficult ya kalau yang awal-awal ya, but take a look how your group analyze based on skill. Ini teaching learning method ya, yang skillnya kita lihat skillnya. Sebenarnya kalau yang mau lengkap ini, dia ada yang skillnya. Misalkan ini writing, ini vocab, ini apa. Oke. You provide analyzing the textbook based on Mukundan on page 26 ya. For example, writing tasks are interesting and your group answer or your group give the student score 2, it is for adequate, and the reason is writing text in this book is interested related with the lesson. Okay, but if you want to answer more detail, I think that you have to give the example for your reason here, not only analyzing, not only the result of your analysis, but also you have to give the example to strengthen your reason. Jadi misalkan kata temannya ini writing text in this book is interested and related with the lesson, with the reason, with the lesson. So you have to strengthen your result of your analysis by giving some examples from the textbook. Jadi untuk menguatkannya ini diberikan contoh-contoh dari textbook. Tapi pas presentasi tadi sebenarnya sudah ada contoh, but you only analyze it in general ya. Sebenarnya sudah ada kelihatan sih tadi di PowerPoint-nya. Cuman kan tidak bisa terlihat juga, namanya PowerPoint hanya foto screenshot ya, jadi nggak terlihat ya. So it means that not only giving the reason, but also you have to provide the example. Sebenarnya tinggal mindahin aja ya, karena tadi sebenarnya sudah ada tuh di PowerPoint-nya yang punya Ahmad. I think your group result of your analysis is good ya. Sudah lebih baik dan previous ya. And then for Amanda group also, I think that your group presentation is good also because you provide some example here and also you provide the result of your analysis ya. But it will be better for you if you add the title for each chapter. How many chapter? For example, you discuss about chapter 6 until chapter 10 ya, sepertinya ya. And you have to provide the theme ya. Temanya apa sih? Kan biasanya in the beginning of the chapter, the writer of the book provide the theme. Misalkan temanya teknologi ya. Temanya apa? Nah, itu. And then in your conclusion, please make it more detail. You make a kind of table that consists of the whole result. Kan kalau punya Amanda ini hanya per types ya, misalkan per syarat apa sih maksudnya, per kategoris ya kan, punyanya Ika sama Amanda ini per kategoris, but in the conclusion you have to make general ya. It means that the table including all the result of your calculation. Kan di bawahnya itu ada tuh berapa male and female untuk the number female and male characters in general. Jadi dibuat secara kesimpulannya. Because in your chapter 2 you provide for each category. But in your conclusion, you have to make a kind of conclusion for your finding of your analysis. You have to mention the result of your analysis based on 8 categories that you have analyzed before. Paham nggak? Jadi dibuat secara keseluruhan karena in your chapter 2 you only give each of categories, not all ya. Ya sebenarnya terlihat, tapi kan it will be better if the reader of your result of your analysis can understand about the result of your analysis in general, not for each item. Ya sebenarnya each item juga sudah bagus, cuman we cannot conclude that is it for male and is it this book focus on male on for female because you don't calculate it in general ya kan, tidak ada kan yang male and female-nya. Dia lebih fokus kemana, male or female kah? Karena you only analyze based on each category. Tapi kalau misalkan di conclusion-nya itu kalian sediakan table secara garis besar, you can make a conclusion from the result of your analysis. For example, based on the result of our analysis, it can be said that this book is focused on male because we can see from the table of finding ya, the calculation bla 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 bla. Seperti itu ya untuk yang Amanda. Okay, are you ready to answer your friend question?
Yes, we are ready.
Okay.
Okay, here's the answer for Unika's questions. The first question will be answered by Ika Widianti.
Mana tadi? Okay, the question is, what is the effect of students' learning if a textbook focus more on one gender? So if focus on one gender, it is in the effect is menimbulkan stereotip bahwa satu female itu, misal laki-laki itu pekerjaannya ya di kantor atau apa, kalau wanita itu hanya memasak atau apa seperti itu. Jadi tidak mematahkan stereotip bahwa kesadaran antara laki-laki dan wanita itu tidak setara gitu, akan menimbulkan stereotip bahwa kesetaraan antara female dan male itu tidak ada gitu. The next will be answered by Amanda.
Okay, the second question is about, is there also an influence when both gender have the same portion in students' learning? So here's your answer. The gender equality concerns both women and men, has strong impact on our daily life. That education against the stereotypes and discriminations begin in early childhood. Jadi siswa ini diajarkan untuk tidak mendiskriminasi dan tidak ada stereotip bahwasannya kalau male ini lebih berpengaruh pada kehidupan. That makes the female is weak. Jadi maksudnya di sini female juga dapat mempengaruhi impact dapat memberikan impact yang besar bagi kehidupan sehari-hari, bukan hanya male. So, mungkin dapat menimbulkan stereotip yang mungkin terjadi pada suatu pekerjaan dan hanya untuk satu gender. Jadi harus diajari mulai dari early childhood, so students will avoid the stereotypes and the discrimination between the female and male character. Is that clear, Yunika?
Oke, terima kasih.
Thank you for your question. Next, move to the next.
For the next question is for Amanda Group also ya. Oh, Yunika barusan dijawab. Yunika, oh ini Yunika ya. Oh ke bawah nih, Patrio and Patrio question and also Irfan Arfandi question is for the first group ya. Are you ready for Amanda Ahmad, Bella, Anggi, and Ulan group to answer your friend question from Patrio and Irfan? Sudah siap belum? Who will answer their
Yes, Miss.
questions?
I'd like to answer your question.
Ridwan ya.
Yes, Miss.
Okay,
Rio's
please
question
answer.
is, Rio said previously you mentioned that the objectives are related to the learner needs and interests. My question is, have you analyzed the appropriateness between the materials in syllabus and material in the book? Based on our answer, to be honest, the objectives are related to the learner. It had analyzed based on the materials that we have known and experience, which is in English has main skills. There are 4 main skills: speaking, writing, reading, listening, which that is the important skill that students have to learn and understand. And the textbook contains the 4 important skills. Rio?
Well, so you don't analyze it based on the syllabus, right? You just watch for those 4 skills.
We just analyze based on our opinion and based on our experience, because those are the 4 main skills that's usually we learned in the school, in the classroom.
Okay, I got your point. Thank you.
Okay, Rio, anytime.
Who will answer Irfan question? Or the other group will add Ridwan explanation? Bella, Anggi, and Ulan, do you want to add explanation from Ridwan for Patrio Wibowo question, or is it enough? Okay, if you don't, you can directly answer Irfan Arfandi question. His question is, okay, how do you know the task consider learner's capabilities? Because we know that every student has different capabilities. Are you ready to answer your friend question?
I'll try to answer ya, Miss.
Yeah.
Halo. Ya.
Ulan ya.
Yeah, Miss. The question is, Ridwan said that in the textbook, the task consider the learner's capabilities. So how do you know, or how do you make sure that the task consider learners' capabilities? Because we know that every student has different capabilities. Our answer is pakai bahasa Inggris. Okay, as a teacher will try to understand the capabilities of the students berdasarkan level tingkat pendidikan mereka yang sedang mereka ampu. Kayak misalnya mereka sedang mengampu anak kelas 11. Jadi nanti dikira-kira aja gitu, apa sih yang udah dipelajari sama siswa kelas 11 ini, apa aja sih yang yang kira-kira mereka paham. Jadi nggak mungkin kan anak kelas 11 kita kasih gimana ya jelasinnya. Jadi ini mungkin maksudnya tuh capability secara umum, bukan capability siswa per individu. Kayak apa aja sih capability siswa kelas 11 gitu. Jadi bukan menurut saya bukan kemampuan mereka per individunya. Jadi kayak secara umum, apa aja sih kemampuan para siswa kelas 11 ini gitu. Mungkin Anggi bisa ngebantu jawabnya.
Ya, izin menambahkan, jadi yang dimaksud Kinan di sini, kemampuan siswa itu memang berbeda-beda ya. Jadi ketika kita mengajarkan kepada kelas 11 itu, kita udah tahu gitu loh kemampuan mereka itu apa. Misalkan nih, kalau kita belajar bahasa Inggris, itu yang pertama kita pelajarin apa, sehingga kita sampai pada tahapan advance kayak gitu. Jadi seorang guru ini sebelumnya udah tahu kemampuan siswa itu.
Okay, that's your answer ya for your friend question. Okay, I will give some comment ya from Patrio Wibowo about his question. The objective are related to the learner's need and interest. I think that before in composing the textbook, the writer of the textbook should focus on the syllabus or curriculum. And then in composing the curriculum or the syllabus, I think that government has paid attention to the learners' need before, what they need in learning English, yeah, because they also have a team. It means that to know about the learners' need and interest, we assume that the curriculum and syllabus have fulfilled this not criteria, have fulfills about the learner's need and also the learner interest. Jadi kita asumsikan saja ketika when the government compose the curriculum and also syllabus, they have considered about learner needs and interest. It means that if we want to know about the learner's need and interest, yeah, we have to know about the material, yeah, of material in the syllabus and the material in the textbook. It means that if not all the material can cover from the textbook, can cover the syllabus, I think that the writer of the textbook is not consider about the learner's need and interest because they don't fulfill the material from the curriculum and also the material from the syllabus, because syllabus itu kan turunan dari kurikulum ya. And then to know the student learners capabilities, I think that we can see from the student score. Okay, how we know, because it will be difficult for us to know about the student capabilities one by one, or before, and it will be difficult for the teacher if the teacher, oh misalnya matiin video ya Bapak. It will be difficult for the teacher to separate between the lower student, the poor student, and the poor student and also the smart student. Ya kan ini pasti sulit ya capabilitiesnya. Because in every student has different capabilities. But in some research, yeah, I think that we can know about the student capabilities from their score. And then we can calculate from the score about the student homogeneity. Jadi homogeneity ini kesamaan ya, bahwa kelas itu diasumsikan bahwa siswanya itu sama kemampuannya. Kalau dikaitkan dengan skor, pastikan dikaitkan juga dengan cara menilai. Di sini ada, sebentar, di sini kelihatan ya, ini nggak misklik ya. Oke, di sini kita bisa menilai siswa itu dengan memperhatikan soal-soal yang guru buat. Apakah memang siswa itu able atau tidak untuk menjawab soal. Kita lihat saja di sini. Di sini ya, di tes item analisis ini, item discrimination, kalian mungkin sudah belajar di statistik ya. To determine how well an item is able to discriminate between good and poor student. Kalau untuk yang alat tesnya, jadi dihitung discrimination of power atau tes item analysis untuk mengetahui atau membedakan antara good or poor student kalau untuk soal. Jadi kan di sini kelihatan tuh dari soalnya bahwa soalnya itu bisa membedakan antara soal yang untuk siswa yang pintar dan soal untuk siswa yang kurang. Tapi itu kan untuk soal yang mau tekankan di sini, to know about the student capabilities itu ya dilihat dari hasil hitung homogeneity-nya. Homogeneity-nya itu seberapa homogen students-nya. Apakah heterogen? Kan rata-rata satu kelas itu heterogen. Heterogen itu maksudnya kemampuannya berbeda-beda. Tapi kan nggak mungkin gurunya itu kelasnya itu dibagi hanya dilihat dari kemampuan siswa mata pelajaran bahasa Inggris saja. Mungkin saja the student is not able about English, but they are able to the other subject. Misalkan nggak bisa bahasa Inggris, tapi ternyata mereka pintarnya di matematik. Memang agak sulit ketika the teacher want to know about the student capabilities. Atau di sini bisa saja walaupun kelasnya itu heterogen, balik lagi ke gurunya. Dan tasnya ini mungkin tidak bisa dilihat dari textbook. Make sure that the task yang Miss bilang tadi, tasnya itu yang ke item analisis tadi, yang menganalisis soal, ya kan, soal-soal dari tasnya, pakai item analysis or discrimination of power. Tapi bisa saja gurunya itu membuat tas sendiri that can cover both for a poor student and for a good student, bisa saja. Cuman kan di sini kita membahasnya tentang textbook karena tidak kita ingin menekankan penggunaan textbook ya. Jadi tasnya ini ya dilihat dari item analisisnya itu tadi. Tasnya itu kan berupa tes berarti ya. Student task consists of some question related to the skill ya. Seperti itu. Kalau untuk kelas itu ya kayaknya sulit untuk menghitung homogennya. Sebenarnya bisa dilihat dari tes awal ya. Kalau di kursusan kan itu ada placement test ya. Jadi penempatan siswa berdasarkan hasil placement test. Nah itu mungkin, tapi kalau untuk general class ya, maksudnya general class ini kelas yang memang hanya dibagi per kelas itu, it will be difficult for the school to determine the member of the student in each class based on the placement pass. Dulu di angkatan 2006 jurusan PBI itu sempat melakukan placement test ya. Angkatannya Mr. Agus itu kan angkatannya Mr. Agus kan angkatan pertama 2006. Itu mereka ada placement testnya. Kelas yang lain B dan C. Jadi kelas A itu yang memang nilainya tinggi, kelas B yang sedang, yang C itu yang paling rendah. Itu ada placement testnya. Tapi sekarang sudah tidak ada lagi ya. Oke, untuk yang kelas E, nanti kita jam 10.30 satu grup lagi. Siapkan grupnya tadi. Nizar ya, Nizar E bukan? Tadi Miss kayaknya membaca-baca Nizar E bukan ya?
Iya, Miss.
Iya, nanti Nizar sama Rizky Rahma ya. Oke, I think enough because I have the other class for today ya. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Langsung Miss N kan ya.